You know, deep beneath our feet, there's a whole other world, one of darkness, immense pressure, and incredible heat. It's a world engineered to pull resources right from the heart of the planet. But for the people who work there, it's also a world governed by a really strict code, a set of rules that make survival possible. So today, let's go underground and crack that code. So, let's just get right to it and ask the big question. In a place where the walls can literally collapse on you, the air can turn toxic in an instant, and massive machines are moving around in almost total darkness, how on earth do you make it home at the end of every shift? Well, the answer lies in a system of discipline, awareness, and some seriously hard-won knowledge. Okay, let's get real about what these hazards actually mean. Ground support failure? That's not just some technical term. We're talking about the ceiling, hundreds of tons of rock, just collapsing. The air can become lethal in minutes from invisible gases. And in these tight, dark tunnels, you're sharing the road with multi-ton machinery. The environment itself is just hostile. To really get this code, we're going to take a journey through the mine itself. We'll start by entering this pretty alien environment, learn the single most important rule there is, see how people and machines find their way in the dark, face down some invisible dangers, and even plan for the absolute worst-case scenario. And then finally, we'll understand the true meaning of the code of survival. First things first, an underground mine is an industrial plant. It's not a natural space, it is loud, it is hot, and it is dark. Every tunnel, every support, every fan, it's all part of a massive mechanical system. It's a place when you've got to be on your toes constantly. Because trust me, it was not built for your comfort. And this is where the code really starts to make sense. We're not talking about just red tape or bureaucracy here. Every single one of these rules, from how you park a truck to where you're allowed to drink water, is a lesson that was learned the hard way. They're written from the experience of near misses and, unfortunately, from tragic accidents. It's basically a living document on how to stay alive. So, with the stakes this high, where does safety actually begin? It's not with a helmet. It's not with a piece of fancy equipment. It all starts with a mindset, and it's built around one incredibly powerful action. Now, this isn't a friendly suggestion. This is, and I'm quoting here, a personal legal obligation. Every single person down there, from the newest hire to the mine manager, has the absolute authority and the duty to halt any operation they think is unsafe. This right here, this is the bedrock of the entire system. Before any work even starts, miners go through this personal safety ritual. You can think of it like a pilot's pre-flight checklist. First, you check your path, in and out. Is it safe? Then you check the air. Is it good? Then the rock walls. Are they secure? Your tools. Do they work? And finally, the plan. Does everyone know what they're doing? Only when you get 5 yeses does the work actually begin. Okay, so you've made sure your work area is safe. Great. Now you have to actually move through the mine. But moving around, it's not as simple as just walking down a hallway. This is a complex network of tunnels, and it's full of specialized gear with its own very distinct traffic laws. See, to get around down there, you've got to speak the language. This right here is a bogger, sometimes called a scoop. It's this low-profile beast designed to move muck. That's just what they call the blasted rock and ore. Understanding what these massive machines do is the first step to knowing how to stay out of their way. And the main highway, the central artery of the whole mine, is called the decline. It's the primary ramp that spirals down deep into the earth, connecting all the different levels. This is where most of the traffic is, and it's where the rules of the road are absolutely critical. And this just perfectly illustrates the constant dance between people and machines. If you're on foot, you have to walk on the driver's side and use your cap lamp to signal them. You never, ever just assume they've seen you. Meanwhile, the equipment operators use a really clear horn code. 1 honk means starting up, 2 means going forward, 3 means reverse. It's a language of light and sound that's designed to prevent deadly mistakes. But wait, how does anyone even know who's in the mine at any given time? The answer is this surprisingly simple but absolutely life or death system, the tag board. Before you go in, you move your personal tag onto the board. When you come out, you take it off. In an emergency, that board becomes the single most important document in the entire mine. It's the very first thing rescue teams look at to know exactly who they need to find. So we've covered the dangers you can see, like falling rock and huge machinery. But some of the most lethal threats in a mine are completely invisible. They are silent killers that can be in the very air you're breathing. Okay, so let's break down the main culprits here. You've got carbon monoxide, a poison that comes from diesel exhaust and blasting. And there's methane, which is super explosive when it mixes with the air in just the right way. And hydrogen sulfide, another toxic gas that can just seep out of the rock itself. You can't see them, but man, they can be deadly.
So how do you fight an enemy you can't even see? Well, you do it with a massive, powerful ally. The ventilation system is basically the mine's own set of lungs. Giant fans up on the surface are constantly pumping fresh air down through the tunnels, creating these circuits that dilute and flush out all those dangerous gases, not to mention heat and dust. If the ventilation fails, all work stops. Period. End of story.
The other invisible killer is dust. These microscopic particles of silica from drilling and blasting can cause fatal lung diseases over time. The number one weapon against it is actually pretty simple: water. Hoses are used to wet down rock piles, and machines are fitted with water sprays. But it's a careful balance, because if you use too much water, you can raise the humidity, which leads to a whole other danger: heat stress.
All right, we've talked a lot about prevention. But what happens when prevention fails? What happens when there's a fire, a collapse, a major ventilation failure? In that moment, panic is your worst enemy, and the emergency plan is your only friend. Let's take a vehicle fire. It's one of the most common emergencies. The procedure is clear and logical. First, get the vehicle out of the way if you can. Shut it down. Hit the fire suppression system. You can try to fight it, but only if you have a safe way to back out. And if you can't control it, your job instantly changes. It's now to warn everyone else and get out. Now, how do you warn an entire mine, a place where the noise can be totally deafening? You use an alarm that nobody can ignore: their sense of smell. Stench gas, which smells just like rotten eggs, is intentionally released into that big ventilation system. When you smell that, you don't ask questions, you don't wait. It means there's a mine-wide emergency and you need to get to a safe haven. Immediately.
And there are two main kinds of safe havens down there. A fresh air base is a designated spot that's directly in the path of the fresh air coming from the main fans. But if that air gets compromised by, say, smoke, then you head for a refuge chamber. This thing is a sealed steel box. It's basically a self-sufficient lifeboat with its own air supply, food, and water, designed to keep you alive until help arrives.
Which brings us right to the very core of the underground code. The mine is just filled with incredible technology. Gas monitors, refuge chambers, fire suppression systems, all of it is designed to protect people. But technology by itself, it's just not enough. After all the training, all the rules, and all the engineering, the entire code really just boils down to one simple, powerful truth. As this slide says, there is only one person who is ultimately responsible for your safety down there, and that person is you. Your discipline, your awareness, and your willingness to speak up are what truly keep you safe. And that leaves us with a final, really crucial thought. In this incredibly complex and dangerous world, surrounded by the raw power of the earth and the force of modern machines, maybe the most advanced, the most effective, and the most important survival tool of all is just the personal power to say one word: stop.